Hi, I'm Jenna.
And I'm Erin.
And welcome to Between Two Filing Cabinets, where we bring you tips, trends, troubles, and stories from HR.
That's right. Jenna, I wanted to talk to you about mental health today. So I was just reading some scary statistics. 84% of people experienced physical, psychological, or behavioral symptoms of poor mental health. Due to depression, we're missing about 5 days and 11 and a half days of reduced productivity every 3 months.
Wow.
And
5 days every 3 months?
That's what it said, yeah. At least the 11 and a half days of reduced productivity every 3 months.
Wow.
And then 200 million lost workdays annually, and $17 to $44 billion in lost productivity and lost. Yeah. So one of the things that came out of the statistics was saying that it's becoming more acceptable, more commonplace for people to actually discuss mental health in the workplace. And
right.
So,
yeah.
Obviously, from an HR standpoint, there are some things that you want to be sensitive to. From a leadership standpoint, too, you want to be sensitive to, but you also have to be a little careful as well.
Right.
So I was wondering, as someone from an HR perspective, how can you better prepare to have those conversations with people so that you are kind of sympathetic,
right.
needing kind of this increased, difficulty with mental health without kind of, worrying about compliance issues?
Yeah, it is one of those things where it's become less taboo, I think, in the population in general to have those conversations, so people are feeling more comfortable to bring that up. And so I think as HR professionals, we have to be prepared to have those conversations. Yeah. So there's a few things I think that you can do to prepare, and one is know the law. Because if someone's talking about their mental health, they're talking about a medical situation, and so there are laws that might protect them, whether it's Oregon Family Leave Act, Family Medical Leave Act, ADA laws, or whatever state that you're in may have additional state laws as well. Washington has Washington sick leave, Oregon sick leave laws. So there's a lot of different legal pieces that you need to know. So for example, if someone needs to take time off, and they come and they talk to you and they say they're experiencing some depression and they need some time away from work, understanding what their rights are, that they may be eligible for leave, so that you can be prepared to take them through that process and understand what's available to them. Know your company policies as well, because you might be a small employer and not be covered under some of the different leave laws, or maybe they've already exhausted it, so you may have other leaves available, like a personal leave policy. Another thing to do is to be aware of what the signs might be. So if someone is experiencing some of the things that you were just talking about, where they seem to be missing a lot more work than they used to, their productivity is declining, they seem withdrawn, those are all symptoms of something going on. It could be a mental health issue. It could be that they're having a crisis at home that has nothing to do with a medical situation or their mental health. But those are all indicators that something's going on to pay attention to.
Well, so if you suspect something and so someone's not coming to you, right, then it's a little bit more straightforward. But if you do suspect that something's going on, how do you approach that person? What kind of language would you use to kind of elicit it, but at the same time, again, not get into any kind of sticky situation?
Right. Yeah, and usually it'd be a supervisor who would see those symptoms, I think, and those signs probably first and foremost, maybe not HR.
Right, that's a good point.
And so part of it, I think, is also making sure your supervisors are aware of what should they be looking for. And really, it's just you're identifying that there's probably going to be a performance problem. Yeah. Something has changed with this person, and so for them, I think recognizing how to have that conversation. Usually by the time it gets to HR, there's been a request for leave, or a supervisor comes and approaches HR to say, like, hey, this is what's going on with this employee. They've missed a lot of work. They're making a lot of mistakes, and I need to have a conversation with them. So I think either way is you just really keep it focused on the things that you're seeing, and not exploring, like, well, are you feeling depressed, Erin? Those are the types of things where, no, you can't ask those things, but you want to keep it focused on, like, hey, Erin, I noticed that, you have, missed 5 days in the last 30 days, and that's really unusual for you. Is there something going on that I'm not aware of that's causing these absences?
Okay, that sounds good.
So you just keep it really focused on the things that you're seeing. And I really like that phrase, is there something going on that I'm not aware of? Because it opens them up to say, hey, I don't know whatever it is, but if there's something that's going on, we're here to try and, support you. Mm-hmm. And maybe they reveal that it's a mental health issue. Maybe it's, they're going through a divorce, or they're going through bankruptcy.
And we want to be, I always try to caution people in the supervisor trainings, try not to speculate as to why. We're probably wrong. Yeah. It's tempting to do so. Yeah. But to avoid it.
Right. Yeah. So from a sort of leadership and cultural standpoint, what are the things that you think organizations should be doing to help promote and identify, a healthier work life?
Well, one thing that I saw in the same article was it was saying that, on average, employees are working about 47 hours a week, mm-hmm. and how that keeps going up. And it dawned on me, well, what's, like we were talking about earlier, what's the expectation? Right. So in some situations, yes, the expectation will be to work over 40 hours a week, for salaried employees especially. Is that expectation communicated? Mm-hmm. Similarly, if that's not the expectation, are you communicating that to employees too, that that's not necessary? Right. That when you go home, you do not have to answer emails. And we were talking about in France, they have a right to disconnect. Yeah. Kind of now it's like that on your free time, you can have and enjoy that free time. Yeah. So I think being clear in part about what the expectation is, and then, like you were saying earlier, making sure that if you do have, to work 47, 50, 60 hours a week, that you have good paid time off, that you have good compensation for that, right? So that people can unplug and not burn out, right?
And time to use that time, because that's something that we hear a lot, especially when I do like engagement surveys. We're like, we have great paid time off, but I can't use it. I don't feel like I can even take that time off because we're understaffed, or I feel like that's the expectation. And so that becomes a source of frustration. So I think that's a good tip, is to say, they are going to be working all of those extra hours. Make sure they have the time off to actually take it. And follow France's rule, disconnect.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand. It's kind of like, well, that's just the nature of the work that we're doing. Well, then at least be aware of the consequence that you're going to have high turnover. You're going to have more burnout. Right.
And then making sure, I think that people are, if that's what it is, making sure that people are doing things during the day, during their week, to maintain, their own well-being.
Exactly. So like on Wednesday, here in Salem, we're doing managing stress in the workplace, a training kind of focused on this very issue. And one of the things that we talk about during the training is having a menu of self-care. So basically things you can do throughout the day, throughout the week, within different spans of time to kind of de-stress a little bit. So your appetizer on your menu might be something that's only 5 minutes that you can do on a break. So maybe just stepping outside for a breath of fresh air. Or it could be chatting with a coworker or somebody, kind of to just let out a little bit of steam, have a nice social moment, maybe watch a funny video on YouTube. It doesn't really matter, as long as it's something that's kind of getting you out of that headspace. Something that you can do then on your lunch break, maybe that would be your entree on the menu of self-care, going for a walk, getting some exercise, reading a book, listening to music. And then an indulgent, your dessert, something that you might do on the weekend or in an evening when it's a particularly stressful time. And I would suggest, though, that it's not just employees have a menu of self-care, but the leaders and people who have influence in an organization, because you can say to people, we really want you to take that break, and we really want you to not burn out, and we want you to take care of yourself. But if I'm not doing it, then you're going to get the message pretty quickly that I don't mean it, and then I might be saying that, but that's not really the expectation.
Right. What about more sort of frequent check-ins with employees? So checking in with them on a regular basis, just to say like, hey, how are things going? Are things overwhelming? Are there things that you're struggling with? So that you're trying to be proactive before you're seeing the symptoms.
Absolutely, and you want to be careful how you ask that question too. So if I just say, hey Jenna, is everything going okay? Are you feeling like too stressed or anything?
Oh, I'm going through bankruptcy.
No, chances are you won't say it. You'll be like, no, I'm great. So you like break the pen, right? No, and so you want to say like, so, tell me what's been going on. What have you felt like you haven't maybe had the time to do, or if, where do you think you could be spending more time, less time, or how is it all working out? Just loading the question is from the standpoint of kind of expecting there to be some stress instead of like, it's like a, yes, no, or are you a successful employee or not?
Right.
Sometimes that's how it lands.
Yeah, good. Well, I think we're going to file this one under burnover.
I like burnover because burnout, turnover.
Erin's great at creating terms, and I thought that we should bring that one to the table under burnover.
Hashtag burnover.
All right. Well, we will see you next time. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.